afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful day here in Barcelona, and what better place to be than by the beach in this city's most iconic hotel. Now, tapas are about sharing, enjoying good weather, and connecting. And that's the same spirit behind our project. I'm Elias, a strategic advisor to small food and beverage entrepreneurs, and a close collaborator of this team. We're based right here by San Sebastian Beach, one of the most visited spots in the city. So let's start by showing you why this exact location makes all the difference. This is where tourists meet tradition, and where investors meet returns. This prime beachfront area is our advantage. Barcelona attracts over 12 million visitors annually, and many of them end up right here, steps away from where we plan to open. That constant flow of visitors is the reason we see such strong performance potential. The part that truly matters. Our internal rate of return is 42.5%, compared to a 12% cost of capital. To put that into perspective, most restaurants yield around 10 to 15% ROI, and even the strongest franchises rarely exceed 25%. So yes, these numbers are impressive, almost hard to believe at first glance. And I know, Barcelona is famous for surprises, some pleasant, some less so, but in this case, we want to be transparent and completely straightforward with you. We value your time, and we know you understand that the IRR, while exciting, doesn't always show the most grounded scenario. So here's our more conservative view. When we factor in realistic reinvestment rates, our MIRR, modified IRR, stands at 32.6%, still far above the 12% cost of capital. That's nearly 3 times the hurdle rate and even under prudent assumptions. We've kept our calculations tight and conservative. No optimistic forecasting, no inflated growth. And percentages are great, but let's talk real numbers. Our net present value is 466,000 euros. That's the financial value this project creates above the cost of capital. And remember, that's assuming no growth. We chose that to be prudent, not pessimistic. And even with this baseline, the project already demonstrates substantial, sustainable profitability. Now that you've seen the numbers, let's look at the story and the people behind this idea. I'll hand it over to Adriana, the young entrepreneur driving this vision forward.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Elias. And with that out of the way, I think it's time to introduce the rest of the team. We are Ian, Fiore, and Nadim, and we are also followed by 2 industry experts, Gerard and Elias, which will help us with the project. The project, specifically, it is a franchise of the popular tapas spot Montaditos. The location will be right by the sea, at the popular San Sebastian beach, where tourists and residents alike will be able to enjoy the incredible taste and comfort of Basque cuisine while enjoying a refreshing drink. To clarify our intentions, we expect this project to last for 5 years. The exit strategy would imply keeping it running through the sale of the franchise to a third party. Now, we all know that the bars in Barcelona are known to have a wide profit margin, 15% for most of their products, and tapas provide the quintessential experience for the tourists in the area. With this strong market positioning and brand recognition, high profit margins, and a prime location, we truly believe that this project will be a resounding success. Knowing your track record with past projects, we would like to discuss the possibility of financing this project with you. The details will be open for negotiation, but during this quick pitch we will discuss the expected cash flows, solvency margins, expected payback time, and CapEx requirements while opening the possibility for debt or equity financing methods. And with this, I pass to Fiore.
So, our goal is to give you confidence that Montaditos stands on strong financial foundations. We will show you this through key ratios and margins, which demonstrate how efficiently the company manages the cash you invested. Liquidity is the ability to meet short-term obligations, and solvency on the other side is the ability to meet long-term commitments and remain stable over time. In the Montaditos case, the cash conversion cycle is only 15 days. That's 30 days of inventory, 0 days of receivables, since all customers pay cash, and 15 days of supplier credit. What does it mean? That the cash circulates very, very fast, extremely fast. The graph on the right represents how much funding is needed to keep operations running before cash comes back in. It's extremely stable. Another way of analyzing operating working capital is 3 days. After paying suppliers, the company recovers its cash in only 2 weeks. On the solvency side, I can say that with EBITDA margin consistently between 32 and 35%, the company remains financially stable without relying on external debt, which is a crucial information for you as an investor. Montaditos converts cash fast, operates efficiently, and remains stable with high profitability. This is a combination that makes the project, financially solid, self-sustaining, and with low risk as you for investor.
Thank you, Ariadna, and thank you, Tim, for inviting me here. I hope my expertise will be helpful. Now, the part that may interest you more investors. Why are you here? As you saw, our project is really profitable. That said, it needs a high initial investment. That is where you can help us. In two different ways, either through equity financiation or debt financiation. First, the equity. Here you can see our free cash flow to the firm, which is extremely solid, with a payback period of 3.75 years and only the two first years with negative outcomes, since that's when we require our initial investment. From that point forward, it's all positives, and the aggregate is so too. Were we to watch the FCFE, we would see the exact same thing, since we have no debt in our company. Our initial investment required, which is the one that you would need to give us, would be of 254,267 euros, given by the two first negative values in the free cash flow to the firm. And for you to get a net present value of 0 with a cost of capital of 12%, we would need to give you a 38.7456% of ownership of our company. In this table, you will be able to see the relationship between IRR, MIRR, and the percentage of the company that you'd be owning by giving us the initial investment. At the end of the presentation, we'd be super glad to debate with you and negotiate which is the ownership that you'd like to have of our company. But what about the debt financiation? Nur?
Thank you, Gerard. Now let's move on to the debt financing part. In this scenario, we're going to assume that the entire project, the 254,000 euro, is financed through a zero coupon bond with a 10-year maturity. That means that there is no yearly payments. Investors are going to receive one single payment at the end of the 10 years. So the simple yearly interest rate, which is 21.07%, is the minimum rate we'd have to offer for an investor to make the same return as the market, which means the 12% compounded annual return. In this graph, we can clearly see the correlation between the MIRR and the interest rate. And the higher the MIRR, the higher the return. But as a company, there is a point where we're losing money, which is 30.6886%. This is the break-even point where net present value is equal to 0. So for an interest rate that is going to be more than 30.668%, every euro we borrow destroys value. And for an interest rate between 21.07% and 30.688%, this is creating value for us, the company, and for the investors. Now, moving on to the debt financing scenarios, this table shows exactly different simple interest rate and its return for the investors. At 21%, the first scenario we can see here, scenario A, investors get a total return of 210.7% after 10 years, which corresponds to the 12% compounded IRR, basically matching the market. If we increase the interest to 25% or 30%, for example, the investors are rises to around 13.4% and 14.9%, which is above the market, making the project way more attractive for investors than usual projects in the market. However, if you go as high as 35%, for example, investor returns reach to 16.3%, which becomes way too costly for us as a company. So it's impossible for us to go way above the breaking point. That's why we defined our ideal scenario between 21.07% and 30.6886%. Below 21%, investor wouldn't invest because the return is too low,
and above 30.669%, the financing become unprofitable for us.
Thank you very much, Noor. It was an amazing explanation. Here's a recap for you investors. This is our project. We have a net present value of 465,000 euros, an IRR of 42%, an MIRR of 32%. It is liquid, solvent, and profitable, and you have a cost of capital of 12%. We offer you these two different possible ways of financiation, and now it's your time. Will you make a profit with our project, or would you rather someone else does it? Thank you very much. We're up to hear all of your proposals, and please contact us through any of the criteria that we have here. Glad to hear from you. Bye.